My son is down there.
Wow, that sucks anyway.
Wow.
It just keeps going.
So welcome to Porch Thoughts.
No, you can't stop
I'm
that.
keeping that.
No, don't
It's
keep
genuine.
that. No.
It's real. I have to
That's
keep
weird.
it. I don't care if it's weird.
Oh, no.
The last one was pretty weird, so...
Already.
Yeah.
It's all over.
Welcome to episode 2 of Porch Thoughts. I'm your host, Brandon. This is the guest.
Hello. I'm the guest.
Hello, the guest. How are you doing today, the guest?
I'm alright. My name is actually the guest. It's on my birth certificate.
It really is. I've seen it. He showed me.
You can introduce
Here's the guest, Tommy.
Yes.
Also another past co-worker. Actually, recently past co-worker, so...
Before the war.
Before the war, just kind of...
And the butter.
And the butter. I got a question for you about butter.
Yes.
It relates back to the first episode, too. Do you believe that there's butter in the water? Like the government's putting butter in the water?
You see, I'm a couple tiers above that conspiracy.
Oh.
I don't think the government's putting butter in the water. I think the water always had butter in it to begin with.
Ooh.
Do you even know where we get butter? Where does butter come from? It comes from the water.
You're making me think. Stop making me think.
Just forget all the images of the butter churners, old days, turning milk to butter. Forget all that. It comes from the water.
Well, there we go. There's our answer. He believes that there is butter in the water.
There is a simple answer to everything, if you think about it little enough.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead. Tell the world who you are, what you do.
Ah, yes.
If you want. You don't have to. I mean, it's all
Don't
you.
tell anybody, but I'm actually a serial killer. I eat it
Oh.
almost every day.
Hey, you want to know something crazy?
What?
I just watched Silence of the Lambs last night.
Did you?
I
Oh,
did.
no.
So, that's something.
How was it? How was it?
I loved it.
Yeah?
I almost liked it a little bit better than The Shining, but that's because The Shining wasn't really accurate to the book, and I like the book more.
I've seen The Shining, and then I started to read the book, and I only got to the point where they were arriving at the hotel before I no longer had time to read it anymore. And
Yeah.
I'm going to pick it up at some point, but that was like freaking a million chapters before they get to the hotel, and all three members of the family are so developed as characters, like the dad. In the movie, it starts with them in the car.
Right.
You can tell right away the dad's messed up. Like, something's wrong with the dad, and you're
Yeah.
already scared of him. It's not like that in the books at all. He's like timid and empathetic, and
He's calm.
Yeah, and he's screwed up a bunch of stuff in the past that it
Yeah.
shows you in it. And so he's like walking on eggshells and is worried about everything. And he's like a genuinely good guy. Mm-hmm. And it sucks to see that thrown away in the movie.
Yeah,
So-
I can't believe they had the Joker play Jack Nicholson.
Oh, yeah.
He was the Joker in the Batman movie.
Yeah.
I can't believe they just, like, completely destroyed his character. He was really good.
I mean, it made for a really good horror movie, but
Yeah.
the book is definitely way better. So if you liked The Shining movie, you should definitely read the book.
Yeah, I really like the book. I mean, there's a lot of language in there for those who may be sensitive
There's a lot
to
of
that.
really inappropriate stuff in the book.
That
It's
too, yeah.
Very, very unfiltered. And
But
censored.
I mean, it's not as crazy as other things I've seen, which we'll get into in this podcast. But
Yeah, it's just that the book goes into so much more detail with stuff. In the movie, you watch the movie, and Danny, I think Danny's the little boy, you just think he can see ghosts, kind of, and that's sort of what The Shining is.
Yeah.
That's not what it is. He's a telepath. He can read people's minds, but he can't control it.
yeah,
And then he also sees ghosts and stuff, I guess. I didn't get to that point in the book, so I don't know how that's handled, but he keeps getting thoughts from his parents, and then he's super little, so he doesn't understand what they mean.
yeah,
But he feels the emotion tied to it.
right.
So one of the words that he hears pop up in each of his parents' heads occasionally that he hates, he really doesn't like that word,
Yeah.
is divorce. And he has no idea what it means, but he doesn't like that word. He hates it. And then very rarely, this terrifying word pops up in his dad's head, and it scares him so bad, but it's super rare, and it's suicide.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, this little boy hearing all this and
He's
just
just-
how he's
yeah.
interpreting it. That's what you get from the book, is just these really well laid out characters that you keep wanting to see more of, and you sympathize with them and empathize with them, and it's really good. But yeah, it's super inappropriate.
Yeah, but if I think about it now, and if they just called it not The Shining, then I probably like the movie in general. It's a good movie, it really is, but it's just not as good as the book.
Yeah,
I just feel like if they just had it where they called it, what's the opposite of Shining?
Darkening.
Darkening. The Darkening.
The Darkening.
The blank colors on a canvas.
I don't think as many people would have gone to see it if they didn't know it was a Stephen King book. So I think it all worked out fine. They can make modern adaptations that are closer, but it all, I think, ends the same way no matter what. So
it'll be by Stephen King with a V,
yes,
not a PH.
Stephen King.
Just a knockoff version, you know what I mean?
He's got like he's got 2 different pseudonames he publishes under. There was
Really?
I don't know if this is still an issue, but there was a period of time where authors could only post or publish like 1 book a year or something like that.
Right.
And he wanted to publish more, so he created 2 different pen names that he posted additional.
Really?
Published additional books under. Yeah, so he's got like 3 different names that you can find books under.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's made a lot of stuff. He's made like 50-something books by 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've seen a lot of stuff, like just going to Barnes and Nobles. It's
yeah.
like, I didn't even know what this was. I've never seen a movie made about it. But it's still pretty cool. I think my dad, and this is like, I don't know if I should be telling his stories. Oh, but anyways. Anyways.
So, now that we're done talking.
I think it was when he was dating my mom, I think. My mom was just like, wanted him to be more into reading, stuff like that. So what he did, he got The Stand. The Stand is a big, juicy book.
Oh, no.
Bigger than the Berserk books I have in my room.
Oh, no.
He said, like, it took him a long time. But by the end of the book, it ends in Las Vegas. So as soon as he was deployed to Las Vegas, and that's when he got to the end of the book. So he ended it where the book was at. So it was kind of pretty cool. It was very cool. I was like, that's interesting.
Oh.
The Stand is a good movie or show. It's kind of weird how he does his movies. Some of them are like shows, like
Yeah.
Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. It's like
Depends on which medium tells the story better.
right. But yeah, that's something I found kind of interesting when he told me about that. I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's a big thing to consider when adapting a story or when making any kind of story, is deciding what kind of medium it is. The Shining book is really long.
Yeah.
And you think it'd do better as a show because they could cover more details, but it only takes place in one location. Like there's in the beginning of the book, there's a couple different places, but the core of the story is just at the giant hotel, and for there to be a show set in just that one place for the majority of it, that's really boring. So
Right.
it actually does better as a movie, even with all the details being cut for time. It just works better because then you don't get sick of the environment before it's over.
Right.
So, anyway, we're done talking about all Stephen King stuff. What's the first topic you got?
We really just...
Yeah.
I really just like asked you, hey, tell them who you are, and we jumped into Stephen King and who he is.
Well, let's talk
Hey,
about
that's cool,
Stephen
though. That's
King
cool.
for 20 minutes.
Let's do that. That's good. But you know what? This would actually be kind of good to link it to creativity, and that's one of the topics right there. So,
Oh, yeah?
creativity. Stephen King, he's very creative, but like, I don't like the It book. If you know why.
Yeah. Not going to read that one.
Yeah, neither am I.
I watched the most recent movies. It was 2 different movies, one about the children part and one about the adult part.
Yeah.
And they were really good. They were both super, super good.
Really?
Yeah, like fantastic.
You're talking about the new movies?
Yes,
yeah.
the 2 newest movies. I didn't see the original It, but it was the few scenes I have seen were way more tame compared to the new ones. The only issue I had was that there was a couple of scenes, mainly in the one where they were adults, that just came off as a little bit silly. Like, some of the things that It turns into to scare them are kind of silly.
Yeah.
But when they're children, it works, because you can suspend your disbelief that the thing is scary a little bit, because to the children it would be.
Right.
But then when the same kind of stuff is scaring them as adults, it's like, I would be just kind of funny in real life if that were to occur. I don't know.
Either that, or I'd be like, oh,
yeah,
I just don't mind it. For the rest
I was
of the time it's there.
a little less immersed in the one where they're adults, but
Uh-huh.
it had such a good finale and ending that I liked them both. They were really good.
Yeah, I've seen both of them, and I really did like them too. Yeah, a lot of the actors from the what Stranger Things is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of the actors from, or at least one of them from that show, and it's really, really good. He's a good actor, and it's very more. It's way more intense than the old movie. I'm pretty sure it'd be more intense in the book. I'm sure. But
yeah, there's a bit of a line to be drawn when writing certain stuff, because it's one thing. How do I put this? So we're talking about creativity.
Uh-huh.
The embodiment of creativity is observing the world around you and creating just new thoughts and different things in your mind in such a way where it comes off as unique or interesting or colorful. Being creative with story writing is really just telling a story that hasn't just been done a million times. You haven't seen it somewhere else. It's taking themes or ideas and creating something new or interesting that makes you think.
right.
And Stephen King definitely does a lot of that, but sometimes you could go a little too far. Like there's writing stories about taboo topics.
Yeah.
Which a lot of the time is fine, especially if it's handled in a way where it teaches lessons and morals that are important,
Yeah.
Sometimes you can
Get
even if it makes sense for the character arc or for the story, you can take it in a direction that just isn't okay, even if it makes sense in the context of the story.
Right.
That's what happened with Stephen King's It in the book. The direction he went in the first half of the book with the children at the end, that just wasn't okay.
Yeah.
I get that it sort of made sense and was kind of like an arc for that character or whatever, but it's when you go a little bit too far. But you can be really upsetting and morbid or discuss really upsetting topics and it be okay. You just have to make sure it's seen as a bad thing.
Yeah,
that's the
not
part.
like something that's like...
Yeah,
that's where that line is kind of like, okay, man.
That's the part he missed when writing that scene, at least as far as I know. Because I didn't read that book fully, I just read the scene. And it's not depicted as a bad thing. It's, I don't know, it's really weird.
It doesn't feel right trying to read it either.
Right.
So, I mean, do you think it's kind of hard trying to be creative in a time where it's like it feels like everything's been done? Because I know I've had many discussions with you at work when we were working at the Exchange, and you've told me like a lot of the ideas you had, and you told me not wanting to talk about them to the world until you published those said things.
Yes, it's important not to talk too much about your stories or your ideas for a couple of reasons. One is that it'll get out there and spread, and then somebody else might make it before you do, which is fine, but sucks because you wanted to make it.
In his book, nothing happens. Oh, they all breathe. They all inhale.
Whoa! No. But it's the other thing though is that if you're really wanting to make something, if you go around telling everybody about it,
right,
you're actually disincentivizing yourself from making it because you're already getting it out of your system, telling everybody.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times you want to kind of hold back and not explain everything, so that you force yourself to actually go out and make it, so that people can then see it or read it, and then you've made the thing. So that's it too. But
right,
in terms of running out of stuff to make because everything's already been done, it really seems like that at first. But the more that I've written stuff and come up with ideas and different things, the more I realize that everything's been done to a degree, but not everything's being done right now. We have a great number of things. Like right now we have a whole bunch of tropes and common stories and stuff that pop up in media all the time.
Yeah.
Movies that all feel samey, not because all of that stuff's been done before, but because that's the same movie that came out last month, but with different characters.
Exactly.
We get kind of in these habits, these different cycles where we kind of make the same stuff for a couple of years, and then we get a new idea, and then everyone copies that for the next couple of years.
I call that the Marvel effect.
Right,
a lot of Marvel movies will feel the same as the one last year.
Yeah, it's like you can say everything's been done and be discouraged, but when the idea that's been done was done 120 years ago, back when there wasn't color in the world, everything was black and white.
Whoa.
It's not really the same thing. It's you can come up with any kind of story, and even then you can tell a story that's been done before, but subvert it and do it in a different way.
Right.
You can tell a story about give me an example. What's a movie or trope you see done all the time?
Oh, I'm just gonna say the shonen genre of anime. Now, I don't know why it's kind of different between shonen and seinen. Seinen is where you get like Berserk and all the more adult and more mature stuff.
Yeah.
For some reason, the seinen anime is more story-oriented, better quality, better everything. But then shonen is just the same. Yeah, I want to be the best.
Yeah.
The only thing you have to watch is either Dragon Ball or Naruto, and you're good.
Okay.
But
shonen's a good example. I don't really watch anime because of the fact that all the animes are the same show. They just all do the same thing.
Exactly.
But shonen's a good example. The typical structure of a shonen anime or manga is you have the main character, or maybe a couple of main characters, and throughout the story they progressively get stronger and stronger and stronger, and the stakes get higher and higher and higher. But the whole plot of the arc, the whole arc of the story is always them progressively getting stronger. So you can take that idea, that's been done a million times, and twist it. Okay, at the start of the story, the protagonist is already super, super strong, and they're dying. So over the course of the show, they get weaker and weaker and weaker.
Right.
So they're using what time they have left to try and go around and fix everything.
Yeah.
So then you have this story where, sure, at the start it's all like fun and games because the main character can just quickly fix everything because, they're super strong already. As the show progresses, that super powerful character begins dying and losing their power and abilities and getting weaker, but still trying hard to keep going around and helping people. And so then maybe the attention slowly starts shifting to the side characters who aren't very powerful at all, but they have to learn how to be strong because they won't have that main character forever. And so the arc is the main character slowly shifting things and teaching lessons to the other characters as they're dying. And it creates a much sadder, darker story that you probably will get a lot more invested in because the stakes, again, slowly rise up, but the heroes aren't getting stronger to combat it. They're getting, weaker. Right. So there's a lot you could do with that idea. And that's a complete twist to a trope that we have a lot of right now.
Yeah, and I think that's what kind of leads a lot of things with darker themes to have, like, a better art form to it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm going to lead it into art form.
All right.
Art in its pure form. What is art? Berserk. Berserk is art. That's a whole section to talk about later, but as much as that manga is just, I'll say satanic. Will you agree?
Yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot of
definitely satanic. I'm a big nerd for like the Lord of the Rings genre type stuff, where it's like a group of like a mixed match of whoever.
Yeah.
You got Frodo and his buddy. I can't think of his name.
Sam.
Frodo and Sam. And then within their group, you got Aragorn and the other guy.
The old man guy as
the
well.
hunter guy. I don't know. Yeah, Strider. They call him Strider.
I'm Ganondorf. Fireball. I haven't seen Lord of the Rings.
Oh, I mean, Ganondorf is Zelda, so
yeah.
I don't know why I was thinking that was Lord of the Rings. Because Gandalf. That's why. He's the big wizard guy.
No, I said Gandorf.
Gandorf.
Yes, Gandorf.
Oh.
Yeah,
save me.
I need to watch it. That's definitely a movie series I would love, and probably book series too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
I thought you would have probably read.
Yeah, I
Books, at
haven't.
least.
I haven't actually read a whole ton of books yet. I have a lot of books, so I'm chipping away at them.
Right.
But I only recently got into reading a whole bunch. So, well, I say recently. Recently got into a schedule of reading avidly. So now I'm making a ton of progress as opposed to maybe reading a book every now and then.
Yeah.
So I'll get to Lord of the Rings at some point, likely.
But art, I think you can't really have a lot of things without art, and art comes in different forms. What do you think art in your form of creativity, and like how would you describe without releasing or talking about your
Right.
your stories and everything to the world?
I think people have taken the word art and made it a little too broad. And I don't think this is a uncommon opinion to have. But it's just,
I can agree with that.
when you can literally call anything art, it loses its meaning, you know. I think art is definitely meant to be more of a visual thing, and typically how people use it is it's considered art if you observe it and it invokes something within you. Which again leaves it just as vague, because I could look at a brick wall and be like, wow, yeah, that's a brick wall, but then somebody else can look up the brick wall and be like, oh my goodness, this brick wall, the hard work that was used to make it, and they're blown away.
Grain of the brick.
This single grain and the amount of hard effort that it took to create this human ingenuity is, you know, and then that brick wall is art. So it's
Exactly.
a little, you know.
It kind of reminds me of something I saw when I was a kid. I think it was like My Strange Addiction or something like that.
Okay.
It was one of the TLC shows.
Oh yeah, TLC.
And this guy, what he would do, he would get a blank canvas and he would drink laxatives and paint, throw up on the canvas, and it'd be a mishmash of colors. And I don't think he ate food when he did those things. So
That's one way to do it.
yeah,
If you like stomach acid in your artwork.
if you like COVID.
I
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I'm going to cut that out.
Oh no!
I'm probably going to have to cut that out. I don't know. 'Cause this is going on YouTube, and I know YouTube doesn't like anything about the big coof.
You can say that on YouTube right now.
Right now?
Yeah, you could cut it out if they change their minds later.
All right.
So okay.
If it says no, can't do that, I'm going to blame you.
We're gonna say the big C.
The big coof.
The big C.
The big...
The big.
Stretch.
Excuse me.
It's okay. Whoa.
I don't know.
Okay.
Nothing.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, you have art like that.
Yes,
You have
it's
art
all
like
art.
that.
Everything's art. No.
You got art like that where you can just throw up on a canvas if you want. Then you have art where it's like a brick in a wall.
That's a pretty impressive brick, though.
But what do you, if you were to take things out, how do I say this? Kind of cut out the fat,
Right.
fillet the fat out
Right.
of the word art. What are the things you would get rid of?
Oh, I see.
Like if it was just like, oh yeah, ground. That's definitely going.
I
But like
think-
I'm saying, just like with things people say commonly, oh that's art.
Right.
What would you
right.
cut out and be like, this is not art. This is just you.
I think my
I'm gonna get you canceled.
I think my plainest definition of art is drawings, just paintings, artwork, digital, traditional, whatever.
Yeah.
But just like still images. But I can understand the stretch to like animated ones. You know, we got a lot of old Disney movies that are really, really artsy.
Yeah.
Like it's a movie and it's telling a story, so it's a story and not art. But then the backgrounds and stuff are art.
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing with games. There are a lot of games where people are like, this game was art. And it's like, no, the game has art in it. Like, what was it? What's a good one? This is an indie game.
say-
I don't know how. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead. Tell me about the indie game. I need a new game to play anyways.
This is an indie game and came out a bit ago. I don't know how popular or not it is, so I don't know if everyone will know it, but it's called Child of Light. And it's
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's a 2D kind of RPG game. You get into fights, the enemies are on the map, and then you do turn-based battles. But its story is told in a really unique way, and the art style is all like painted and really pretty, and it's really nice to look at. Just there's so many shots in the game that are just beautiful, and it's sort of trying to replicate like if a storybook world was brought to life. So it really feels like a storybook, and they achieve that effect. by having all of the dialogue in the game rhyme. And there's a lot of dialogue, and characters are constantly rhyming with each other. The easiest example I can come up with is a phrase that pops up a bunch in the game. If you go up to a door that's locked, the main character will say, "It's locked," and then the little fairy companion that's following them will go, "I'm not shocked." And just everything rhymes. The whole game, everything rhymes.
Yeah.
Every two lines rhyme with each other. And then there's a joke character that pops up early on, and the joke is that they'll set up a rhyme, and then they say a word that means the same thing as the word that they should have said to rhyme, but they don't rhyme. And then another character has to correct them and say the correct word so it rhymes.
That sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, it's funny. But the
is it a PS4 game?
yeah, it's on PS4.
Cool.
I think it came out PS3, Xbox 360 era, but it is on the newer platforms too, just a direct port.
Nice.
I think it was on PS3 and Xbox 360, but I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
Quote him.
But the game itself, I wouldn't call art. I'd call it a video game.
Yeah.
It's an RPG, a story-based RPG game. And a really good one, I think. But it isn't art. The game is full of art, though. Every background, every character portrait, all the cutscenes, that's all art, because it's straight up, it's artwork, it's visual depictions of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's more what I would define it as. But even then, like, a game is still a visual depiction. Like, you're still being given a visual depiction and all that. I just, people will say something like, if someone said Child of Light was art, it's like, okay, I get what you're saying. But then if someone's like, Mario 64 is art, I'm like, all right, I'm going to stop you there. I'm sure it was a great game, but...
Minecraft is art.
Minecraft is
you can make art in Minecraft.
You can make art in
You can
Minecraft.
make a lot of art in Minecraft. It's very unique, and that's a game that I really love that can really tap into the creativity of that little creative part of your mind.
So I think the deepest meaning of art, though, rather than just trying to find like a blunt logical thing, the emotional one is that art is something that really makes you think or question things in such a way that you wouldn't have thought of before. I think that's the main thing, is that it just makes you think about stuff you wouldn't have thought otherwise. It has an impact on you.
Yeah.
And with that definition, then it makes sense people saying different stuff is art that has nothing to do with paintings and drawings, because it affected them in a certain way that nothing else would have. And that's what makes it art.
Okay.
So, on the topic of Berserk...
Woo! Let's go to Berserk!
Let's go to Berserk.
Let's go to Berserk. Let's start it. I don't know about this one. My parents are going to listen to this one and be like, what's Berserk? Look it up and they're going to see some things.
No!
I'm like, don't look it up. Do not.
Yeah.
I think I've told my dad a little bit about it, but I don't think I released like too much
Yeah.
too much about it, because it's just so bad.
We were warning earlier of Stephen King's stuff being super inappropriate. Berserk
just
is like...
imagine that, but imagine Stephen King stuff, but like...
Times 10.
Times 10, and you actually see it
Right.
happening in front of you.
Oh, my goodness. Berserk's messed up.
It's very messed up.
But that's the point. This is what I was saying earlier about story writing and creativity and handling taboo topics correctly. A lot of really messed up stuff happens in Berserk. Like, really messed up stuff.
And it always happens to
the good characters.
the one guy. Well,
main
mainly the main character.
character.
He just kind of deals with it.
So, but that's the point, and it's bad. And in the story, it's bad, and it's not a good thing for it to happen. It's not okay, it's bad. It's all bad.
Yeah.
So there's not this disconnect of something horrible happening and everyone in the story being like, "Ha, great!" It's like, it's bad and it sucks and it leaves the characters with realistic, permanent damage. And that's why it works. It's Berserk, at least early on. Berserk is this story that covers really, really horrible, messed up stuff in a realistic way with empathetic characters.
Yeah.
And it's done, in a way that like, it'll make you feel uncomfortable seeing it happen, but you won't come away from it confused. Like, you'll come away from it like, yeah, that was horrible, that was terrible, and the story agrees with me, and the characters in the story agree with me.
And of course, I understand a lot of people who would be more sensitive to the topics and things that happen in Berserk, and I don't understand why someone would not want to read it.
Oh yeah, not
because I keep telling my
for
best
everybody.
friend about it, and she's just like, She told me about some anime that has something in it that was pretty bad that happened. And
Yeah.
I was just like, oh well, now if I watch that, you gotta either watch or read Berserk with me. And she was just like, no, I don't want to see that. I was just like, no, it's okay, it's fine.
I think
if I had to do that, you gotta do that, you know.
I think Berserk is really for a smaller group of people.
Yeah.
Because it's specifically it's to show characters dealing with such horrible stuff, and how they put up with it, and how they get through it, and how they overcome it, if they do.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it is. The world is horrible, everything sucks, and here's these characters living in it and trying to deal with it. That's what it's about. And it's, at least early on, it's not afraid to go into really, really messed up territory.
Yeah, and it's like things you probably wouldn't even think of.
Yeah,
too,
and that...
when it comes to a lot of things. Like, I recently saw some stuff in there, and I was just like, who thinks of this?
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
But, I mean,
that's the
it's
thing,
point.
though, is that it's all depicted as bad. It's not done in a way to, like...
glorify it.
Yeah, to glorify it, or to... how do I say this without...
Make it seem like, oh, it's not that bad.
How do I say this without being too blunt about it? It's not done in a way where, like in anime, you have scantily clad characters that are clearly there just for people to see, like as eye candy or whatever. Like, it's not there.
Oh, like a fan.
Yeah, it's not
something.
It's fan. That's fan service.
Fan service, yes.
Yeah, but it's the horrible stuff in Berserk isn't there because people want to see the horrible stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's happening, and everybody reading doesn't want to see it, and they don't want it, and it's bad, and that's how it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to want to see it. You know, nobody in the story wants to see it. It's all bad, all around, and that's why it works. Is that it's never depicted as okay or good, and it's not there for the sake of being there. It's there for a purpose and reason that is built upon afterward.
Yeah, and you know, I think the best thing that the Berserk really does in just the story of everything, they kind of tap into trauma. Because a lot of the bad things that happen in the book, it's like it affects the people later, and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
And specifically with the main character, he has all this trauma from a specific event that happens. Like, and you kind of actually understand why he becomes like a jerk, and why he's just a crazy, violent, just basically an animal, I'd say.
At least
he's
on
just
the surface.
Terrible. Yeah, on the surface, but like deep down, when he's done being a jerk or an animal, he just kind of sits back and is just like...
Yeah. You know,
it's like...
For years, I had people recommending me to read Berserk.
Yeah.
And it's because my favorite genre is dark fantasy.
Right.
I love dark fantasy, where the world is just awful, but I like a specific kind of dark fantasy, where the world is really, really messed up, but the people are good. That's what I like. I like to see characters who may not get along at all. They might hate each other, but they have to band together just to survive. I like seeing people like force themselves to get over their problems, to work together for the betterment of everybody. And I find the best setting for that is a dark fantasy world where everything's out to kill you. You know, then you get characters that just do not mesh at all. They do not click, but they have to get over it anyway. Yeah. Because they'll die otherwise.
Pretty much like every Bionicle movie. I don't know if you've seen the Bionicle movies.
I have not, but I've heard good
or played
things.
with the Bionicle toys.
Yeah, I think I had my friend had some.
Oh man. Like just the lore and everything behind it is just like the team effort. Specifically in the movies, they have like the two characters that fight, and he's fine with everyone else, like this one guy, and it's just like they go back and forth a lot, and even like leads into the plot of the movie where he goes to the bad guys for a little bit, and then like the good guy is just like, I'm sorry, and then he just like becomes normal or whatever, and then happily ever after, and then the movies kind of lead into like number 3 is the one I'm talking about right now.
Okay.
It leads into number 2, I think it leads into number 2. Then number 2 leads into the first one, but the first one is like completely different characters. It's very... I suggest watching the movies. I'd say get the toys, but like they're probably like priced for millions.
I don't know if I'd have time to...
Yeah, you missed it, man.
Yeah, you missed it. That's before my time.
Well, it's actually... It might be right at your time. You're older than me, so it's like...
I used the wrong time. I mean, I'm past that time. as well.
Yeah, I got you.
Set it backwards.
But really, just back to that part, with teamwork, people have to get over with each other to work together to get this solved, and
yeah. So
that's the best type of stories.
That's why I like dark fantasy, because I find it the best setting. Anyway, though, that's why everyone was telling me to read Berserk, and I'm like, no. And then
Did you know about all the bad stuff in it?
I knew about all that
Oh, okay.
stuff.
So it's probably why you're like,
that's
no.
why I was like, no, because I don't like that stuff. Even when it's for like a good story reason, like how Berserk does it. It still makes me uncomfortable. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I had this big misconception of the story as well, that it was just full of selfish characters just only out for themselves based on a little bit I've seen of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to read about characters like that. I don't want to root for people that are just selfish or bad. I've never been into that. The morally gray characters, nah, it's not for me.
Right.
I want the characters who are good but struggle with stuff. But then the author died, and everyone around me was devastated, and I'm like, well, it sucks that guy died, but
You're still not going to read it.
I'm still not going to read it.
Yeah.
But then everywhere, all over the internet, people were posting artwork from Berserk as a memorial. And that's when I got exposed to the actual dark fantasy stuff in Berserk. Not the super inappropriate, messed up stuff, but the images of monsters or like demons or creatures.
Scary towers.
Yeah, just I think the one that got me... I don't know if you've got this far. I won't say it, but there's a scene where there's this group of characters around a campfire, and there's this monster that just sort of appears behind them, out of something that you didn't think was a monster at first, and just the imagery and the horror that it conveys is so good. And I'm like,
I think my favorite panel is it's between the main character. I was going to say the main character's name, Guts.
Yeah.
It's between Guts sitting on that rock when the sun's rising, before the kid tries to pick up his sword.
Yeah.
Or when he screams at the monster before he kills it, because you can just, who knows what he sounds like when he's screaming? What noise is he making when his face is looking like that?
Yeah.
That was very detailed and intense.
Ugh.
That's what kind of turned me over to read it, was seeing that. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta read this. I mean, it took a little bit of spoiling for me to really get into it.
That's fair.
To know about some of the things that happened. I already know about the...
Well, maybe don't mention too much if somebody listens to this.
Well, specific horses.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I had that kind of spoiled for me, and also watched the 2017 show, and that's kind of where it starts.
I didn't have that spoiled for me.
Yeah, I had that spoiled for me, and I was like...
I wish I had that spoiled for me so I could have skipped that chapter.
I mean, they told me... it was a video I watched. It told me, this is what happens, but this is how it affected the character negatively, and this is what he saw before he did what he did, and when... Yeah, it kind of goes into detail of the effects of it. It's not just it happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just it happened.
It was perfect. Yeah.
But it was that kind of got me into it, and just really watching the Golden Arc Age, that was...
Yeah.
Watching the movies, the animation was kind of weird in some parts, but they used it better than the 2017 show.
Yeah, the original 19-something animated show.
Yeah,
I think that's sort of peak Berserk.
I
the
think
manga,
maybe the cleanest you could get from Berserk. Yeah. That's not as bad, even though the probably is a little bit nudity or something in there. I'm sure, but the eclipse happens.
The manga,
but it's not as detailed as the movie and the manga.
The manga definitely shows a lot more and has more detail, but the 2D animated one from 19 whatever.
Yeah.
It's really, really close to the manga. Even some of the shots are the exact same as they are in the manga. And the art style is just really good. The music's really good. That's where we get Guts' theme from, and the ending theme. Really good stuff. If anyone wanted to get into Berserk, I'd just recommend watching that. But you'll probably want to read the manga afterward, because it ends
This is what I did.
at such a specific part that makes you need to know what happens afterward. Because there's more after that show. You just got to go to the manga for it. I wouldn't recommend watching the 3D animated movies or shows. I don't know about the movies. I didn't watch those. You did. I think you liked them.
I really did. I mean, it does stop after the eclipse, and you can kind of see what happens after that. But when I got to that part in the manga, and you see what happens, it's just like, continuing would be very like graphic, because they had the end portion of the eclipse in the movie.
Yeah,
and knowing that it's Netflix. Yeah, well, they kind of had they
had the eclipse in the show. They didn't have the ending of the eclipse.
They had the eclipse. They had everything where what happens.
Just not the getaway.
Yeah, like they have that, and it's as detailed, almost as detailed as the manga. I think the manga just has slightly more detail, which I hated. Yeah. I was like, but seeing that, I was like, if they were to continue after when they get out and Guts is in the forest or the wilderness, if they were to continue after that, that would be pushing some boundaries. But there's something about the movie where it's like they're pushing boundaries already, but like I just have a kind of like a sense of like they're still trying to keep it at a certain thing, because they did mention Guts' childhood, but they didn't tell you specifically what happened. They just have a little flashback dream sequence where it's just kind of weird. And for those who've read the book and know what happens with Guts' backstory when he's a kid, like, it's bad. It's really bad. But those are the best stories.
Yeah. Again, I saw that monster by the campfire.
Yeah.
And then I saw one other. Then it was stuck in my mind for a while. But I still wasn't going to read it. I was just like, that was a pretty cool shot, but I'm still not going to read it. And then I saw another panel, which was these characters running down a hallway, and they stop because something's coming. And then you get another picture of a different thing coming down the hallway toward them, and just the camera angle and the size of the thing and how it looks and is designed, and the characters looking at it terrified. I was like, all right, fine, I'll try it. And then I discovered that the characters aren't these like selfish rogue characters.
Yeah.
They're all inherently good, like innately good. It's just the world sucks, and they've put up barriers to deal with it.
Exactly.
But every time something terrible happens, those barriers get broken down, and I'm like, this is way more intriguing than I thought it would be. And then I read the whole thing. There were still a lot of inappropriate things that I wasn't up for, but again...
Does it keep going all the way to, like, where it's caught up? Or does it stop at a point? I want to know, because I'm kind of getting a little uncomfortable with a lot of things I've seen.
They stopped taking it so far after a while. Okay. There's still like nudity all throughout.
Of course.
And one or two kind of messed up things, but a lot of the absolute worst stuff that ends up stopping. And it stops being as incredibly dark. It's sort of
like really loud when you...
Oh, sorry.
You're good, man.
It sort of shifts from dark fantasy more towards just fantasy, but with dark elements. So, whereas initially it's pure dark fantasy.
Right.
So, but yeah.
Do you think the ending could, like, pay off?
I think it definitely could.
They're still being published.
Yeah, it's still going by new people. But I do think a big appeal of it was kind of lost when they kind of stopped doing the really upsetting stuff.
Yeah. Which
I appreciate in not having the really, really upsetting stuff, but I think they went a little too far, and it became just not as dark as it should have been. Like, again, it switched away from dark fantasy to more so just fantasy. And so the biggest appeal for me, which was like the horror monsters and stuff, that's kind of gone. They're still monsters, but they're not themed ugly, like they were before. They're not demonic anymore. So, but I don't know, with the new chapters that are being published, it kind of seems like they might be going to their roots a little bit with a lot of stuff. So, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I think just having those type of stories that kind of push those boundaries, but not in a glorifying way, like you said with it.
Yeah, with the...
Where it seems as more glorifying that type of situation. It's very... It makes you think, the creator is sick in the head, but at the same time, he's not making a good thing.
Yeah,
But-
you if you read that scene from Stephen King's It, you don't know what's going on. You're like, what was the author thinking? Like, why did they come up with this? But you read the stuff in Berserk, and you don't question that. You're like, either they just came up with the worst possible thing they could think of to make this really affect the character, or this is some kind of fear or trauma that they have that they're putting out. You know, you don't think negatively about it. Whereas
Right.
Stephen King, you don't know what he was thinking because it doesn't follow this trend of being, depicted as bad.
Yeah.
So it's just confusing. I think that's the main thing. If there's something really upsetting in a story, you should see that thing happen and know that the creator didn't have any ill intent. Like, you shouldn't even think about the creator having ill intent because it should have been written in a way where you understand why that happened.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's really where you can get some of the best stories and stuff like that. And that's kind of where I'm going to lead to the best stories.
oh yeah.
What are the best stories to you besides the dark ones you just said?
I did touch
the
up.
best type of stories. I really could have tied that in with the last subject.
I did touch up a bit on my opinion with the dark fantasy and stuff. I love a horrible world where the characters have to band together to survive, or to achieve like some kind of better goal, like for the greater good of people or something like that, but at their own expense.
Right.
Just something like that. A dark story with characters full of hope. What about you? What are your kind of favorite stories, best story?
Hold on.
It's alright. Welcome to the semi-annual halftime event where we sit here and do silly voices for halftime.
And watch Brandon eat ice.
And watch Brandon eat ice. Did you know that chewing up ice, while delicious and entertaining, can crack your teeth?
Can it?
So yeah, you probably shouldn't
Okay.
chew ice too much.
I don't know about that.
Maybe if it's the Sonic kind where it crunches really easily, but if you chew on the actual bricks of ice, your teeth will probably get little tiny fractures in them and
Sure.
get infected. So be careful.
I'm sure my neighbors will be like, who is talking?
Who's making that freaking stupid voice?
That was all good.
I don't mind the volume, just a stupid voice.
Exactly. I think my favorite type of stories are the dark ones, really.
Oh yeah.
Like Berserk. And I think the ones where it's like you take a basic plot or a basic story, kind of generic, and you add a type of spin to it that no one else has seen or heard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think I've found that a lot with Berserk. It's very intriguing.
Yeah.
It's very
That's the thing. It really makes you think about a lot of stuff about the characters, the scenarios, what your opinions on it are. There was this one arc in Berserk that while reading through it and afterward, it just dealt with a certain type of messed up topic, and it really made me just affirm my beliefs in something else. Like, yeah, that was so messed up, and it really just encourages me to keep pushing onward and trying even harder to be good in this other regard. And that's I think that's, to do a callback, what the modern definition of art is.
Right.
Is something that makes you think. And in that regard, I'm sure Berserk to a lot of people is art, because it covers a lot of things that nothing else will. It makes
it's
you
literally
think
like
about stuff.
drawn out, not words on them.
Yeah, it's full of literal artwork. So.
Right.
But yeah.
I think those type of stories are just the darker ones like that, where you just do whatever,
Yeah.
but make it terrible, not good.
Right. What's your favorite movie? I'll ask you this.
Hereditary.
Hereditary?
Hereditary.
Alright, that's pretty good.
You have to watch it. It's
Alright,
very.
I've seen a bit of it.
Oh man, it's. I don't know. It gave me the same feeling that the end of Evangelion gave me. And I really liked that, and I've talked to you about the end of Evangelion so much.
Yeah.
that movie, it leaves you with a sense of just like emptiness, shock, and what just happened. You know what I mean? You just don't know what's going on.
You're just left to think, you know.
Right.
The best stories are ones that leave you with some kind of emotion or thought, something that affects you in some way. So, but let me ask this then: what's your favorite Disney movie?
Favorite Disney movie? Ooh.
Yeah. What
has to be
Disney or Pixar?
I want to. I have to think about that. There's quite a bit.
Answer's really easy for me because it's also my favorite movie. Period.
What is it?
My favorite movie of all time is Mulan.
Oh, I was about to say that. I was thinking that because that was really good. I mean, it wasn't so like you think about a lot of modern day things. I think about Captain Marvel, the Marvel series. You know, it's very like, in your face, or heck, even Endgame, that end fight sequence. They're very just like in your face. You got the females being better than the men and all that. It's just like no. I think Mulan depicted all of that perfectly, and you cannot tell me otherwise.
Yeah. I don't. There's no politics in the original Mulan, the animated one, 2D. Because now the live action remakes out, so I have to clarify which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I forget there's two. Yeah,
there's no politics or anything in it. The only thing was just that it was just touching upon some of the culture in older China, but in an Americanized viewpoint, so it won't have been entirely accurate. Like if Mulan had been revealed in the end in real medieval China, even if she saved all of China, they still would have killed her. They would have executed her.
That's kind of tough too.
Yeah,
it's
like, super messed up. But I mean, it was an American movie in a time where we didn't much care. We weren't sensitive about exploiting other cultures or misrepresenting them. Yeah. So it was just sort of themed off of ideas from China. So, but no, the reason why Mulan was so good was for a great number of reasons. Amazing writing, the songs were really good. Usually, songs will pop up in an animated movie, and I'm like, cover my ears.
You'll love the songs in the Lord of the Rings book.
Oh, yeah?
Ton of them.
Oh, no.
Blunt the knives, bend the forks.
Oh.
That's what Bilbo Baggins hates.
Oh, all right, then I'll look forward to it. You
haven't seen the Hobbit movie. You just say you didn't see any
of them. Nothing Lord
Start with the Hobbit movies, because they're newer, but it's technically about before.
Prequel?
Yeah,
okay.
It's technically about before. I'd say.
I heard bad things about the Hobbit movies.
They're terrible.
Okay.
The first and second were okay. The third was just.
I know there's books, but the Hobbit was like a children's book, wasn't it?
I honestly think both of them were kind of teen.
Well, no, that was the
thing.
Hobbit
is more. Yeah.
I think the Lord of the Rings was more teen, young adult, but the Hobbit was like straight up like a children's book. I think.
Might have been. I read the first and second, and they were pretty good.
Oh, okay.
The third one, I need to finish that. But I mean, it might be more family friendly with the violence, I guess. They had a rated R version of the third movie, which I don't understand why. What? I don't know what you could put in that movie to make it rated R other than violence. Like even then, I'm watching Stranger Things, which is like what TV 14,
right?
When like I'm seeing people's heads get cut off and
but
blood
that's
everywhere,
just
and
gore.
nasty.
There's nothing wrong with gore nowadays.
Exactly. I'm getting a call.
Oh.
I'm gonna text him and say, "Hey,
podcast."
Yeah, it's working. I see the lines. Yeah, we just had a phone call and just kind of interrupted things. But where were we at?
Oh yeah, I'll tell you. So anyway, I'm just suddenly British for the
There's
entire
a whole other
rest of the
person.
phone.
What happened to Tommy? What happened to Tommy?
Oh, what do you mean I'm Tommy?
Tommy,
so anyway,
where's Tommy?
As I was saying about Mulan,
the perfect movie ever.
Yeah. The message and the morals that the main character learns and goes through. Like, obviously the movie's about a little bit of the whole discrimination thing against women, right?
Yeah.
One of every man comes to the war, and women can't do anything, and the girl worth fighting for, and, there's a lot of that, and then the whole matchmaking scene about her having to be a specific way and perfect, and blah, blah, blah.
Girl Worth Fighting For is a good...
It's a good song. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, of course, it's also
make a
the
man
same...
Out of You. That's...
A Man Out of You is pretty
That's iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the messages and stuff, they apply to everybody.
Yeah.
That was kind of the whole brilliance of the writing, is because the issue, the way they depict the sexism towards women,
Right.
is that women have to be a perfect exact way. They set that whole thing up with the matchmaker, and they double down on it with A Girl Worth Fighting For, where the other three men like give this perfect idealized version of a woman. But that applies to everybody, like where you have to be a specific certain way, but that's not really who you are,
Right.
you know, and you branch out. And then beyond that, there's Mulan when she goes to boot camp, I guess boot camp for for the war,
Tomato.
and you know she's not been a warrior or trained or anything like that, so she's genuinely terrible at it, right?
Yeah.
And then you know it might be that's bad because she's a woman, so they're just saying women are weak, but no. Then when she's being kicked out, doesn't give up and gets up and keeps going anyway. She gets that arrow, not because she's got brute strength like everybody else just got to start off with.
Right.
She used her wit. And that's the big thing she has over everybody else, was that she's super clever, because she has to be, because she's not able to keep up. Then she starts putting in all this hard work, and not only does she catch up to everybody else, but she surpasses them. At the end of that montage where the music cuts out and there's just the singing, she's surpassed everybody and everything, and is running ahead of everybody with the buckets of water, and it's all through hard work. And that applies to everybody, you know?
Right, yeah.
So it's not, it doesn't matter what gender the main character is, or that the movie was about sexism or anything. It applied to everybody. Everybody could take a message away from it. And
that is probably, like I said, it's the best movie that depicted just every role and how some roles are broken. It's the best way they depicted that, and it's perfect.
I could go on a huge rant about the live action remake and how
do it.
horrendously mad it makes me. But the only thing I'll say is that all of that hard work and that arc of Mulan training and pushing herself so hard to catch up and then to be better than everybody is gone, because have you seen the live action remake? Yeah, she's got like superpowers to begin with, and then she has to like, not like literal superpowers, but she's like
superpowers.
She's like already
It's superpowers.
Okay, but she's
I'm calling it that. I'm sorry.
She's like special. She's not like a regular person. She's like special, and then she has to like hide it or something, or for whatever reason. And the moral of the movie is that at the end she needed to just be herself and let it all out, and then she was super good at everything. Right. And who can relate to that? What?
I don't have superpowers.
Well, the thing that gets me is that I feel like it was supposed to be a message about women like coming out and being themselves or something like that. But they alienated all of their women audience, because Mulan has like powers and stuff that nobody has.
Right.
Whereas in the original one, she worked hard to get to where she was, and that was again a message anyone could identify with.
Yeah, and now it's just given.
Yeah.
Handed out.
Yeah.
It didn't work for it.
So it's like they screwed everything up with the message, and now the women, along with everybody else, are alienated from empathizing with the main character in that movie. Whereas in the original, it was this really encouraging thing, you know?
I'm shaking my head.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, I'm shaking my head hardcore right now.
So Mulan already it was a really good movie, but what got me the most with Mulan and made it my favorite movie
What was that?
was when they're singing A Girl Worth Fighting For, and it's all goofy and fun and games Disney.
Yeah.
And then right before they finish the last verse, it cuts out because they get to the village and everyone's dead.
Yeah.
And it just cuts.
This is another thing with just kids movies and Disney movies in general.
It's so good.
Why are kids movies more censored and more sensitive to seeing death and all these dead bodies? Like, for example, Disney Plus, they did the Captain America Winter Soldier, or not Captain America Winter Soldier, but the Falcon Winter Soldier, and they cut out a lot of the violent, like the blood. And I heard this is actually fairly recent. They cut out like a lot of the blood, like when the dude stabs the dude with the shield, and
right.
there was like no blood in there. Like they edited it all out. I'm just like, well, hold on. First off, Mulan had literal dead bodies from a village that got like.
To be fair, that's kind of obscured in the background. When I was little, I didn't even realize they were dead bodies. I thought it was like the destroyed carts and stuff from the soldiers. I didn't realize they were dead bodies.
Yes, I was
it's
just woke when I was a kid because I was just like, hey, these are dead people.
I learned that later, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes it even more impactful.
Yeah.
There's two things that are affecting children's media right now. So for the censoring and stuff, like you're saying, that, as annoying as it is, makes some sense. Because what does all that blood and stuff add to the movie? It makes it cooler and stuff from an adult's perspective. But for a child, they don't learn anything from there being lots of blood and morbid stuff everywhere. It doesn't do anything. That's why a lot of that stuff gets censored. It's because there's no point to it. The reason why these older movies that had really dark stuff aren't being censored about it is because there's a purpose. Even the children are supposed to see the village be destroyed and it's gone, and then the whole army's dead. And it's important because that affects Shang, because it's his father that's dead now.
Yeah.
It affects all the main characters because now they're the only hope for China. It makes you terrified of the villains, and it really sets up the characters to prevail and win. And it has all these layers to it and all this detail, and it's supposed to be serious and impactful, and even the children watching are supposed to know that and realize it.
Right.
And that's part of the lesson. Even when the odds get so stacked against you, all the main characters just keep going.
Yeah.
Right? And it's that kind of thing that when shows back in the day, or movies, or games even, got really dark, it was for a reason. But in a lot of action movies and stuff, things will get really dark just because it's cool or dramatic, and there's not actually like a purpose to it.
Yeah, kind of like how we were just talking about with Stephen King and Berserk and all that.
Yeah. And in those instances, it makes sense to get censored.
I see what you mean.
The reason why a lot of children's media right now doesn't have stuff like what happens in Mulan in it is simply because that's not people's focus right now. Back in the day,
probably also the butter that's in the water.
The butter in the water, of course, yes. You see, the butter is multiplying.
Yes.
We're dumping more butter into the water. It was both conspiracy theories. It's going to be
like
nothing but butter.
The places out in the ocean that takes oil from the ground underneath the ocean, it's just a big butter churn.
They weren't oil.
Big butter churn.
They were black butter.
Whoa! That's moldy butter.
That's moldy butter, oh no.
I just completely destroyed what we were talking about. I'm sorry.
Back in the day, children's media was focused on telling good stories.
Yeah. Because
they were supposed to be watched by adults too. Back in the day, parents were expected to watch the shows with their children. Yeah. Like people took a greater initiative in raising their children, where they would like be there all the time. Yeah. And even if the parents weren't like micromanaging their children, it was typically like the parents would be at home with the children, or the moms would be watching the children. Just around the corner. Moms or dads or whatever. Yeah, they would be there.
Hear what's going on at least.
So they would tell more mature stories, and they'd have a lot of adult jokes in children's shows and stuff. Like SpongeBob. Yeah. It's full of humor that's only relevant to adults. Like everything to do with Squidward is only funny to adults. Oh yeah. That's the point. And then for the family movies, what is a child going to buy tickets on their own and go to the movies? No. Right. The parents had to go see it too. Nowadays, children have access to all these apps and can just watch movies. So it doesn't matter if there's anything good in the movie for adults or not. The children can just watch it on their own, on their phones.
I think that could be a problem with a lot of things.
That is a problem with a lot of things, but that's a whole different topic.
That's a whole other topic.
We're not parents.
For a different
episode. We're not parents. I don't know if we can.
We're also not political.
This is a non-political podcast.
No, I think eventually with this podcast I'll take it to a more political side of things, but that's only with specific people. I'm
trying to think of the cheesiest political topic I can pull out of nowhere and make
Trump. Fun of. Just Trump and Hillary, man. That's just cheesy and basic, and that's all you can get. Well, I do have some topics left, but I'm honestly happy with what we have right now. So a lot of these topics that I'm looking at now are kind of like steer away from, talking about art and creativity. And
what's our time at?
We have about, I kind of started probably a few minutes late, about an hour and 4 minutes. So.
Okay. I was about to say something. I'm sorry, what were we just talking about? My train of thought's gone.
Oh, just political.
No, before that, right before that.
Oh,
the children's media.
The children's, yeah.
the telling those really good deep stories that have morals and messages and stuff aren't the focus right now.
Yeah.
The big focus right now for people making children's media, and again, now they're just making it for children because the parents don't have to watch anymore.
Yeah.
They don't have to take their children there. They don't have to pay for the channel, and they don't need to be home. So now it's just children that they're making stuff for. So that changes a lot. And the other thing is, I think the biggest focus right now is they're trying to put in a lot of representation in the children's shows, and they're trying to put a lot of, like, you know, all the shows back in the day, all the main characters were male, so now we want to try and make a bunch of shows with female main characters and put different stuff in. And
Have you seen about Little Mermaid?
Oh,
Little Mermaid?
I
don't
saw
really have an opinion about that. I don't think it's bad, but
I have an opinion on it.
Oh Lord!
I saw it.
Don't get yourself canceled.
I saw the actor. I saw I just saw a still image of the actor. I think she was in the middle of singing the
Someday I'll be...
Yeah, the Part of Your World song. And I think it's like, she's really good. I think it's perfect. I was surprised. I'm like, that really does fit. Like, she's really good for that. But I don't know what it was.
I can see it. I can see all that being a good thing, but I've just seen a lot of people on Twitter.
I don't have any... I wouldn't normally have an issue with it. The only reason it comes off as a problem for people is simply because they already have an image of the character in their head. So when somebody else gets cast to play as them, it's
not right.
Feel right. Yeah. But like people who didn't watch the original, which there's bound to be people, you know, it literally has no impact. They don't. There's nothing wrong.
Think about it like this with Marvel. Originally, Nick Fury, you know, the guy with the eye patch.
Yeah.
Originally, he was a white guy in the comics, and I don't know if they changed him in the comics to be a black guy.
I don't know.
But like, I think it's just the fact that we normalize a lot of characters. And we don't really give too much... we're not very open-minded when it comes to being like, well, this character was this, that, and that. Now, there is a specific... There's a time and a place to be... Or not a time and a place. Well, what am I trying to say? There's like a...
I think the Marvel movie Nick Fury is the best Nick Fury, and I can't imagine it any other way.
Yeah, with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, he's so perfect for that position.
Right. But I think people just get too comfortable with one character being portrayed by a certain race or whatever.
You know, at first, I didn't get it. Because originally, I didn't care. They're making live-action movies of everything, and they're changing different stuff. I'm like, it's a different movie. Like, if it's a good movie, it'll be a good movie. It doesn't matter who's playing who or what.
Right.
I didn't get it until they made the live-action remake of the Mulan movie. And then I got it. And it I mean, all the characters were Chinese, all the actors were Chinese, and that makes sense because the characters were supposed to be Chinese. Yeah. That's all fine. What got me was, again, we talked about it earlier, they ruined the story and the message. And what made me so upset was that there'll be a significant amount of people who only watch the remake and won't have ever seen the original. And that's what gets
they won't know what we had.
Well, it's just,
Poor
if
kids.
I were to bring up the topic of Mulan to somebody, they might only think of the new one and not the one that I love. And that's what bothers me. And with that in mind, then I get it. Then I get when characters are being cast as different races and stuff, why it would bother people. Because it's like, well, that's not my beloved version of the character or whatever.
Right.
So I get it. I just don't think the race thing really matters. If the actor is good,
race
kind of it.
The whole race thing for me doesn't really matter. I mean, I think it really matters when it comes to like what you do with the characters. If you're going to change their race or even their sexuality, there's some like people are trying to talk about Spider-Man being bisexual, and I'm just like, I don't really
watch Spider-Man for relationship details. So.
Exactly. I'm here to see a guy in spandex fly across the city with webs.
Yeah, I don't know why we keep putting different, like, sexual... Like, I've never... Even back in the day when they'd always have the main character have a love interest. I'm like, why? Why do
we have to put this, like, into the...
Yeah.
Why does this have to be in there? Why couldn't it have just been, like... He's just a character. I mean, I get with Spider-Man, with him having a relationship in his movies.
Right.
That's just what makes him like a teenager and make him more relatable, because he's a teenager, he's going through high school. Yeah, that's the things that happens in high school.
I can give an exception to a lot of the relationships and sexualities they're trying to put out right now, because all we've had before were just constant straight couples all the time. And so I get people wanting to have
More of
a diverse cast and more representation.
But when it comes to changing a character who
my issue was that I don't think there should have been the constant straight romances to begin with. I don't think that
yeah,
should have,
that's
unless
fair.
you're watching a romance movie, you know. But again, I don't feel right saying we shouldn't have any of these other relationships in our modern stuff.
Yeah.
Because we had so much of the other relationships. People want to balance it out. I'm like, all right, that's fine. That's
no,
fine.
we shouldn't have relationships at all.
Yeah, if we could just get everything out of our system and have the widest variety of stuff we want, then we can start not having the pointless relationships in our media.
Exactly.
That would be nice.
I mean,
but for right now, I
Berserk
completely
did
get
good
it.
with that.
No.
He's like, definitely not.
I can name, like, I think 2 or 3 relationships in Berserk, and they're all tied to the plot. So...
Which plot?
Oh, goodness. Yeah, anyway. But yeah, I get it all. So you've got how many you got?
Let's do 4, but
let's do quick fire. What voice do you want me to do for this quick fire segment?
Work ethic.
Work ethic?
Gonna kind of turn gears for a bit. Well, I already have those done.
Oh.
I guess technically 2. I forgot to sign some.
I can tell you a couple things about work ethic. Oh, being as ripped as I am, I gotta have a pretty good work ethic to keep up with these abs. My 27 pack. Oh, yeah.
He's very stacked. He's
so
shredded.
stacked. I'm 7 foot tall.
Shredded, man.
Pure muscle.
Excuse me, I had something caught my throat. So anyway, as a...
I'm sure the neighbors are gonna be like, "Yo, what's going on? What's going on?"
Why does he keep doing these stupid voices? Stop it!
I expect one of my neighbors to be like, "Hey, you all right up there? Yeah, we're good."
Yeah. Yeah, work ethic. Yeah, that's a whole big topic.
How'd you get your work ethic?
Military family.
Same.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. But once I actually got out there and was doing stuff on my own, my first job was terrible.
Has to be.
Yeah, it has to be. Everybody there had a horrible work ethic.
Yeah.
So that kind of impacted me a bit, where I really wasn't doing as much as I should have been, but it's because I thought that's what we were supposed to be doing, was not as much. So not a lot of stuff got done, and the management was always angry because of it. It just caused a bunch of problems. So everything was terrible. My second job, though, was at In-N-Out Burger.
Uh-huh.
And that place was freaking fast-paced, but everyone worked hard. At least at my store, we were like a platinum rating out of... It was bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. Or my store was platinum.
Wow.
It was rated by the actual company. I think they rated it
That's crazy.
every month or every year. I think it was every year.
Okay.
So everybody worked super hard. And what that caused was a number of things to happen. One, I felt encouraged to work super hard too, because everybody around me was doing it as well. Two, everything was done all the time because everybody would do it. And so when, if somebody would spot something that was dirty, they'd quickly clean it. If something needed to be done, they'd do it. If I spotted the trash was full, I'd take it out. If I spotted a table was dirty, I'd clean it. So everything was just done all the time. And so the management was always happy. And the management at In-N-Out, to be fair, was also doing everything. At In-N-Out, you don't progress to a manager level and then get to not work anymore. Everybody did everything.
I think that's what I can say I like about my new job, is that even my managers are not in their office all day.
Nope, they're working.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then the big final thing is that it's a fast food restaurant, right?
Right.
With everybody working hard and everybody done all the time and everything done all the time and everything clean and everybody being happy because everyone's working together.
Yeah.
Customers come in and it's this perfect environment of just everything going how it's supposed to be going.
All the stars are aligned.
Yeah, and anything goes wrong, it's immediately taken care of. And it was perfect. Everyone was happy. All my coworkers were happy. I was happy. The customers were happy. It was brilliant.
And how long did you work at?
I worked at In-N-Out for just about a year, but then we had to move to Arkansas. So I couldn't. I wasn't in California, though. I was in Austin, Texas. So, but then we had to move to Arkansas, so I couldn't stay anymore.
You're lucky. You get to work in a whole other state. I just worked in Arkansas, and that's it. Air Force Base, the commissary.
I highly recommend any major city of Texas. Texas is the best.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
You know what? Anyone from Texas is going to tell you that. So
San
you gotta go
Antonio's the
there.
best part.
Yeah, you got to go there and make your own opinion.
I've been there and I made my opinion in
Yes.
San Antonio's the best part.
How dare you?
I dare.
San Antonio was pretty good.
I love San Antonio. I got a lot of family there.
I never lived there. I've only lived in Austin, so I can only really speak for Austin.
Yeah.
So, I don't think they're newer city. The newer, what is it, county? Is it county? Yeah, I don't think their newer counties that they were building up were designed well because there were a lot of roads and very little buildings. But that was because it was so new.
Yeah, I hear a lot about Austin. I hear that Texas in general is very conservative. Well, it's kind of conservative in some parts. But.
How it works is that Texas is very big,
Yes.
and there are the major cities in Texas.
Uh-huh.
And the major cities tend to lean a lot more left, a lot more liberal, more democratic. So if you live in one of the major cities, especially Austin, it's going to be a lot more liberal. But
Okay.
everybody's super nice. It's not like the crazy far left where everyone's super mean. Everyone's nice.
Right,
And
it's
then-
not crazy far right,
Right.
where everyone's
So
super...
yeah.
Urgh.
So if you're living in Texas or even San Antonio or wherever, you might think Texas would be a left-leaning state, but no, it's super right-leaning. Because again, Texas is very big,
Yeah.
and so all the country parts of Texas are all Republican. They're all farther right because they're mostly a lot of farmers and people in smaller areas, and a lot of Republican ideals suit them better because they don't have as many people to interact with or as many social problems. They
Exactly.
mostly just need to be able to maintain businesses and stuff for themselves, and so they tend to lean more right. But again, it's Texas, so everyone's polite. Everyone's super
there.
Everybody. So whether you're in a very left-leaning part of Texas or a very right-leaning part of Texas, everyone's super nice, and everyone loves to discuss any type of politics or topics or anything, or not talk about politics at all. Everybody was just so
It's
polite
all
in
civil,
Texas.
civil, right?
Yeah,
Everything's
everything was civil.
Okay.
So
I mean, that's
I'm-
what I care about is conversation
I'm
more
sure.
of a civil. I do hope to have someone who has very different opinions on me to get on the
Oh, yeah.
podcast and have a good discussion.
I had some really nice discussions with people back in Austin.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure there are places in Texas that are super far right and they're evil, and then super far left and they're mean.
Yeah, you
But-
can get the best of both worlds, and each side can be
Right,
either
right.
really evil or really, really good.
Yeah.
So it's like
But-
you can get a good. It's the same both ways, just
Yeah.
a different belief set.
But in my experience, I met a lot of both in Austin,
yeah,
and they were all super nice.
that's good stuff.
So I highly recommend Texas for anybody.
Yeah, I'd recommend it too. Honestly, I've only visited, and I would love to maybe move there. I mean, honestly, I'd rather go to New Mexico, Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Love Albuquerque, man. Whew, it's beautiful.
I have to check
A lot
out
of brown,
states
but it's a
sometime.
beautiful type of brown.
Yeah.
That don't sound right, but
Yeah,
sounds kind of nasty. Not in a super bad way, but in a gross.
I
Like,
get what you're saying. I
Yeah.
get what you're saying. Yeah. The only thing I can tell you about Texas is that, unfortunately, you don't really get nobody that talks like this. That's
Exactly.
not actually that common. They don't wear cowboy hats. They don't got them boots on and we're walking them horses around. Nah, it's mostly cities. It's mostly cities and just normal modern stuff.
like New Jersey for me, man.
I did occasionally see a straight up cowboy though.
Have you?
Sometimes.
I've only seen one cowboy in Arkansas.
Yeah, you do see it sometimes.
Right.
So there's just people with the whole getup and accent and everything.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but it's
That is really amazing. I would love to see
it's
a
extremely
like a cowboy
uncommon.
in real life.
It's pretty much just a normal state like everywhere else. So
right.
anyway,
Yeah.
what topic were we supposed to be on?
Work ethic.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was saying when I was saying earlier. The difference between my first job was Lowe's and it was terrible.
Yeah.
And then In-N-Out. The difference that made In-N-Out such an amazing job that I loved and hated having to leave, and Lowe's being such a terrible job and I was glad to leave, was the work ethic. At the job, In-N-Out, where everyone worked hard,
Yeah.
everything was great. At the job where everyone was kind of chilling and only did what they had to do to get by, everything was awful. So while I was sort of raised with work ethic built into me to begin with, when I actually went out into the world and applied it, I found that having a really strong work ethic and working super hard makes everything work great. Everyone is happy. You're happier because everything's done and you're accomplished and you have more free time.
Yeah.
You don't have anything weighing on you. It just, everything goes way smoother. So I highly recommend always pushing to be good with your work ethic and get everything done you can, and
For sure.
to never
Get a
be lazy
terrible
or
job
good.
that you hate and make you feel miserable.
That's the thing. I know for a fact if I went back to Lowe's now,
Yeah.
with everything I know, with across my many jobs, that I would go in there and I'd just start getting everything done and working hard, and people would see that and they'd catch on and they'd join in. Not everybody. Some people might try to take advantage of me doing a bunch of stuff and be
Yeah, and
lazier,
that's a lot of
but
places.
but it would still be way better
Yeah.
than none of us doing anything. So I know I'm super highly confident if I got a really low end job like another fast food restaurant or something, that I could change things and fix stuff because of the effects I've seen a good work ethic have.
Right, and that's
So-
good stuff, man.
But it's a lot of discipline and
A whole lot of
determination.
self-discipline.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
Yeah, I think where I got my work ethic from, military family. Where do you not have that? But also, just having a strict father is actually really beneficial when you're younger, because the strictness kind of starts to die down when you get older and older,
yeah.
and you kind of starts letting. I think it's where you're starting to, like, I don't want to say back off, but just kind of step back just a little bit and be like, yeah, he's doing what I try to instill in him.
Right.
So now that I'm out on my own, and I'm, doing my best to still apply all the things I took with me from home.
Yeah.
I give all the credit to my dad. He gave me the biggest work ethic. But when it came to me putting it into the world and actually having my first job and just putting my work ethic to work, the commissary, no pay, no pay at all. It was just tips.
Yeah.
And there wasn't very much tips.
Yeah, you gotta work for every little bit of that.
Which sounds like a good idea to someone who wants to get into work, which is why I applied. Because it's like, I just want to work.
Yeah.
I want to make my own money, and I want to be able to manage all of that. But also, I think the mindset I have now is like, I should have been like, I really just want to work hard, like, see the hard work pay off later. Because now I'm here I'd say in my career, doing HVAC. I never saw that. That happening when I was in the commissary, pushing the big thing of
Just
carts into the
freaking
thing.
giant train of carts.
Yeah, it's fun. It sounds fun, but then you do it and it sucks.
Oh, it's so heavy.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
Whew. Yeah, it's just having a terrible job can help you start build your, I guess, really critique your work ethic just a little bit for yourself and be like, this is what I should have done. And you're not going to critique it while you're there. More than likely you're going to critique it and be like, I can fix this and tweak this up in my next job. Then your next job you're going to find more things you could try to critique and nitpick. Like, I'm kind of nitpicking at when I left where you're working at right now. I was like, if only because in my job right now, there'd be times where I don't really have anything to do, so I'd just be sitting in a truck all day.
I just
Not all day, but like a good 2 hours, maybe 3,
trying
just
to
hang
find
out.
something to do.
It's like, I just wish that I could have, I wish I could have just, found the little things to do at my last job and apply that to where I'm at now.
Yeah.
No matter how little it was sweeping my areas, managing it, which I did do a lot of that.
Yeah.
But like, it's still just like I can't really escape the mindset of I still didn't do enough. Which is something that can be beneficial, is that thought I didn't do enough, I got to do more. But the more you tell yourself you didn't do enough, it can really lead to where you just kind of being like sad Mario, being like, oh.
Oh no!
Oh no!
I didn't stop all of the Goombas. Oh, I'm a terrible plumber. Mario, you're saving the princess. You're not plumbing anything. Oh no!
Oh no! I broke your toilet. Okay, I think that's
Mario.
Alright.
Now I'm mad.
Oh man, that's good stuff.
Yeah, it's. I guess the best advice that we can give with work ethic is that to get a really good work ethic and to truly enjoy a good job when you have it,
Yeah.
you have to have some bad jobs. You have to have some crappy things happen and deal with some crappy situations, because that's the only way you're going to develop yourself enough to deal with other things in the future.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, like I was just saying, like Lowe's was terrible, and I've had a few crappy jobs, and so now I have such confidence that I know I could just walk into a fast food restaurant that needed help and just get hired, and then go in there and just fix everything. Like I have that level of confidence that I was at the complete opposite end before. I was terrified of getting any job anywhere because I didn't know how I was going to talk to the manager to ask for the job. You know.
Yeah.
So it really shows how bad things happen to you, but you take that and you make good from it.
Yeah.
You develop yourself from it. So definitely don't try and live this sheltered life where you avoid anything bad happening to you. Go out there and learn and strive to do good things, work hard, and that's how you'll develop yourself as a person.
Well, I'm just gonna leave it right there. You know? Just hang up. Bye, guys. I think we got a good amount of time, actually.
Almost an hour and a half.
That's
It's a lot of editing.
I am not going to cut anything out, though. I'll try not to.
All right.
But yeah, man, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it was fun.
Got anything you want to plug? Anything at all?
If there was an outlet out here and I had a fan, I'd like to plug that in because it's hot out here. But no, there's no
Guys,
outlet.
go
There's
buy
no
him a fan, plug it into my outlet.
Yes,
there's one right here.
What?
Yeah, right here.
No, I just need a fan.
I got a fan in my room. Let's go get it.
Curses. Nope.
Anything for anyone to follow or nothing like
Nope,
that?
I got nothing. Just thanks for having
Follow
me
him in
on.
real life.
No, don't do that.
He looks like he likes the color blue. He wears blue all the time.
Yeah, and
He definitely doesn't wear glasses.
and I'm not 7 feet
And he's
tall.
also he's muscular, very muscular.
No, I'm super scrawny and I'm 2 feet tall. No issues or anything. I just lost
got
my
a lot
lower
of
half in the
tattoos.
war. Lots of tattoos.
Lots of tattoos.
And I'm.
He drinks purified water that's been cured from butter.
No, I drink the butter.
Oh my goodness!
I drink only the butter.
I'm about to swear up right now.
Hey. That's why I know so much.
You can't come back on my podcast because of the butter.
Oh, dang it. Well, now I'm going to have to pour butter on your house.
Why would you do that?
That's what we in the Butter Association do. It's like egging somebody's house, but with butter.
What's worse, it's oranging someone's house because the citrus and ants.
Oh. That's why that keeps happening.
No, that's where the ants are coming from. No, it makes sense. Wow.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Oh, is that butter?
Exactly.
Let's take this back to the colony.
The queen dies of heart attack. Why didn't we think this through?
Let's not talk about queens dying right now.
Oh no! No!
Let's not talk about that right now.
Oh no!
It's kind of a touchy subject.
Oh.
Let's call it a day.
That sucks.
Let's call it a day before we ruin
No, the
people's
queen.
day and get canceled.
No.
Oh man.
Poor queen. Oh man.
I forgot to ask you about that at lunch. Did you hear about the queen?
Yeah, I heard about the
I
queen.
didn't know she was over Scotland like that.
Yeah.
What?
It's northern. Was it northern? Northern Ireland, and then Scotland and England. They're all under the same rule. The only one that
I
isn't.
that. I was like,
Yeah.
that's insane.
Yeah, it's just Ireland, just pure Ireland that are separate, and they're very adamant about being separate because the British
Don't like
people
potatoes.
did them wrong in the past, and so
They didn't like potatoes.
yeah, they don't. Oh my goodness, let me tell you, they actual Ireland, they're separate and they don't like the UK, but then there's Northern Ireland and they're like, oh yeah, I love the UK, it's great, you know, so
That's amazing, man.
yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and call it an episode. Thank y'all for tuning in and listening to us rant about butter and potatoes.
Stop talking about butter, time. Never.
No.
No.
Nuh-uh.
We love butter.
Well, we don't love butter. We like talking about
Oh,
butter.
I mean, we hate butter. That's right. That was a close one.
My buddy's going to be like, bro, you can't have him back.
No,
you can't have him back alive.
No, that's it.
All right, well, thanks for coming out, man. It's been good talking, good jokes.
talk.
Yeah. I'll definitely have you back for another episode for sure.
Yeah, we'll see if
Just
I'm
need to
still
find
here.
If you're still here,
Well,
what do you mean?
my dad's got orders. I don't know how long, but hopefully we'll see. We'll be here for a bit.
Dang, I didn't know about that.
We'll see. We don't know.
Well, I mean, I do know there's another way I can podcast as well.
Ooh.
Use Zoom.
Use Zoom.
Zoom works. It has a recording thing and everything. It's
Oh.
like, ooh.
There's also Discord.
Which I'm going to do that for Discord. Yeah, I'm going to use that for someone, another guest on the episode. Zoom.
Okay.
It may be a visual. Who knows? We'll see.
All right. Well, we'll keep that in mind then.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, that's all I got. Take it easy, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, follow me on Spotify as well. I'm on that too.
No, dislike, unsubscribe. Don't follow anything.
Don't listen to him.
Yes, listen to me.
No, don't do it. All right. Y'all have a good one. And I'll see y'all next episode. Bye.